Dr. Liesel was supposed to come into this meeting, but she couldn't. So I'm gonna have to explain on behalf of her. So we
Oh,
we are
is she on clinical rotation?
yeah, she is. She has to see patients from 9 a.m. I mean, is it? Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
9
we're
9
9
a.m.
a.m. right now. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So I sent you a link.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yes. First of all, um, we're almost done with making all the figures, and then if you scroll down, uh, yes, first of all, we have to talk about the sample draw date, the time discrepancy between the sample draw date and treatment date. So if you scroll down to page, um, it's right in the end of the result part. So
Result?
yes,
Okay.
uh, right in the end. Um,
Here?
yes, there's figure one, there's figure two, and there's a bunch of supplementary figures, and yes, there are some supplementary figures. And for supplemental figure A1, this shows the PFS and OS of patients with PD-L1 below 50 and who received IO only therapy. And last time you told us that look into the reasons why those people with low PD-L1 below 50 used IO only regimen rather than IO plus chemo combination. Dr. Lisa was about to explain this today. So, Dr. Allen, do you know something about this?
Oh, right. I think we're just sorry if it's a bit loud. I'm actually in the lobby somewhere, but I think the user just wanted to just show you what the supplementary figures that we have were. Um, I think the main figures and everything we have all set up. Last time you had asked us to also look at, I think it was the PDL1 low and within the immunotherapy group. Um, And so I think all of these supplementary figures are the ones that we had made for that.
So, like for this one, for those with PD-L1 below 50 and got IO only regimen, like Dr. Liesel had the reason for this. So maybe you should ask her privately. So because we don't have access to Epic, so she was the only one who used Epic to find out the reason. So maybe you should contact her about this. But she really wants to include this figure into the main figure because she thinks that it's one of the most it can be controversial, but one of the most meaningful results of our study. So because the p-value were really good, and she thinks that IO only therapy within PD-L1 below 50 group can give us meaningful results, and maybe you should ask her privately about this. And similarly about the supplemental figure 2, we inspected patients with low PD-L1, PD-L1 below 50, who showed very strike good. So all of these patients are very strike good only, and we compared ICI only versus ICI chemo. So this is so Dr. Lisa wants to say wants to insist from this result that ICI only is non-inferior to ICI chemo combination when it comes to patients with low PD-L1. So Dr. Lisa really wanted to ask you about this figure 1 and 2. So yes.
Okay, so these are my comments. Number one, I know Dr. Lisa was planning to be on it, but if she's not, she should have communicated with you guys on her thoughts. So I'm not happy about that. Number two, whatever her thought is, it has to be presented in writing. So the reviewer is going to ask, why did you treat PD-L1 less than 50% with immunotherapy monotherapy? Is it a low performance status? Is it because patient has bone marrow suppression? Is it because patient has some contraindication for chemo? And that would affect the overall survival as well. So people know it's not part of standard care. So we have to explain in writing, why did these patients get treated? Any reviewer was going to ask that question. It's a vital question, and you should have answer for that in a written language, okay? Not guesstimate. Number two, supplemental figure 2. If you look at ICI only versus ICI chemo, the standard of care is that PD-L1 less than 50%, you should get ICI chemo, because we know ICI plus chemo works better than ICI only. If our patient shows that there is no difference in survival, it's because that we have low sample size or because we have patient selection. We're not doing, because you guys know that if you do randomization study, then you would be close to truth. If you don't do randomized study and physicians are biased, oh, this patient looks very weak, I shouldn't give chemo. You're selecting patient at each step because patient's not participating in clinical trial. So there's so much bias built into these graphs. So you are not able to say PD-L1 negative 50%, oh, these two groups do very similarly, which is contrary to standard of care, which is contrary to the randomized clinical trial result. And no one randomized to ICI only, because we know that ICI only works better in PD-L1 greater than 50%. So I think what you guys lack is, what is standard care? What kind of evidence are out there, with randomized clinical trial, and what data are we creating here? And what is our goal? Or what is the goal of our paper? If we say all the things that Dr. Taegu say, I think the reviewer is going to say, what are you guys trying to say? It's contrary to what we already know, and you guys only have small sample size. And we are not making any points here. So I hope my points are well taken. So any arguments, please write it in writing. And then I think so number one, a lot of it is explained by low sample size and patient selection and tremendous bias that is introduced in this type of retrospective analysis. Going back to figure 1, so again, I think it's very important to note why some people are. So one possible reason could be some people are getting treated under clinical trial. And with clinical trial, we're testing many different things. And we do ask questions like, is immunotherapy monotherapy going to work in PD-L1 less than 50% as well? We don't know. We don't, if you're testing a different immunotherapy drugs, or nivo ipi for that reason, because nivo ipi is different, but I don't know if you guys call nivolumab immunotherapy monotherapy because that's immunotherapy combo therapy. So nivolumab is a different animal than pembro or atezo alone. So it might have to be treated differently. But so there's that nuance to it, and any reviewer who knows non-small cell immunotherapy field would have all these questions. So definitely think hard about how to answer them. Why did our patient show this type of graph? Is our question. And same thing. ICI only and ICI chemo did poorly in PDL1 negative. Again, this graph doesn't have very strat good or poor in there. Is there?
Actually,
Supplemental
yeah,
figure two.
yes, these are all very like good patients. So if you read this like this part of this um manuscript, like who showed very like good. So it was stratified by type of ICI regimen, which is ICI only and combo. So
So, but
um,
that's not obvious if you look at the graph.
mm,
So you have to say it in the graph, not just PDL1 less than 50%, but you have to say very strat good.
oh, I see. I think I forgot. Sorry. I'll add that part. If I want to put this graph into the article, I'll add it.
So make sure this same principle gets applied to all the graphs.
I see.
So supplemental figure 3 is very strat poor.
So for this one, Dr. Isel wanted to see on to compare TMB high versus TMB low in all patients. For the reason for this is that she wanted to compare the prognostic value of Veristat compared to TMB. So like so she made us to compare TMB high versus TMB low, which is 10. So I mean the cut value was 10, so TMB more than 10 versus TMB less than 10.
Then where is the very strat good, poor, and PDL1 less than 50?
Um, I mean, so we included all the patients, like, and then she wanted to compare the prognostic value of TMB, overall TMB and Veristrat. So, she wanted to say that I mean, there are some like FDA approved prognostic markers for non-small cell lung cancers, which is PD-L1 and TMB, and like we want to add Veristrat onto that. So, uh, Veristrat compared to TMB. So we want to say Veristrat is like superior than TMB. So, we compared TMB high versus TMB low in all patients. So.
So what we know so far is TMB is never a good marker for chemoimmunotherapy. It's only a good marker if you have immunotherapy only, which can be immunotherapy monotherapy or immunotherapy combo therapy. So
Oh.
if you add, and we know for sure from many randomized clinical trial, TMB never separates any graphs. It's only good if you're looking at immunotherapy only. So combining everything is never a good idea for TMB.
So
If you're
if
going
you
to
want to
make
say,
this graph, you can do all patients combined. You can do only immunotherapy, and you can do chemoimmunotherapy and kind of show that, yes, what we know about TMB is true, that it only separates curve for immunotherapy only patients, whether it's mono or combo. So I would do that for the figure 3 and show. So if you're not sure about what patient group to look at all different groups, all different subgroups, and just present it in supplemental figure and let the readership decide. So I would suggest that. Going back to figure 2, if you only select Veristrat good here, then the reviewer is gonna say, what about Veristrat poor? Like, what graph would it have? Are you just hiding the graph because it doesn't look good? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, we also did very strict pours, but there were not enough patients for that. So maybe we can put that. Maybe we can try, but it will not be sufficient for the analysis. So we just exclude it.
For the
So
poor group,
so these numbers are all never sufficient for analysis. Okay, we're not in a position to say which is sufficient, which is not sufficient. If p-value is good, is that sufficient? No. So even if it's just a few patient, I think you should show and let readers decide, what the data showed. Okay, it
just to
doesn't
confirm,
matter. Supplemental is showing the raw data. Okay, and we can select what are close to our theme in main figure, but supplemental you can do as comprehensive as possible. But I'm just worried about supplemental figure 2A, B, that it sends, I guess in PDL1 negative patients, if Veristrat is good, ICI only can be as good as ICI chemo. But then maybe in Veristrat poor, it's the opposite. But it may not show the opposite because of very low sample size. So do not generalize it. You just say, at least in our data set, this is what was observed. Period. Don't try to make it generalize anything out of it.
then I think then otherwise on this paper, Dr. Izo has one table left about the demographics of the toxicity patients that needs to be done. But other than that, we just need to add the discussion part about the supplementary figures, and we should be done with this paper, I think.
Um, uh, yep, we're pretty sure about that. And for the supplementary figure 4, Dr. Isel was about to ask this question last time, but because she was also gonna ask this question about the discrepancy between sample draw date and treatment start date. So for figure A and B, we just arbitrarily set the value, I mean the number of 2 weeks, and those those who had a time discrepancy below 2 weeks of sample draw date and treatment start date, we analyzed in figure A and B. And for C and D, we also set an arbitrary number of 12 weeks, and then we analyze the discrepancy between sample draw date and sample treatment start date. and all the four figures did not show statistical significance. So Dr. Isel was suggesting that we should just like describe this in discussion section, and then the time discrepancy between sample draw date and treatment start date didn't have any clinical or statistical significance. So like what can we write from this article was a mm, matter of conversation between among us, like how should we utilize this data.
So first of all, it's important to know the distribution. Sample draw date and treatment start date. What is the distribution? Like how many people belong to this group versus this group versus none of this group? It has to be written what is the total N in this group.
Yeah, so we wrote the N in the graph, but not the total number. So for A and B, we have like 45 plus 13, so 58 patients. And for C and D, we've got 30 plus 13, so 43 patients. And in total, we have like 100, 150 or more patients for survival analysis. So like it's like almost 50 below 2 weeks and 50 among these and 50 more than 12 weeks, like 50, 50, 50. So we wanted to make the number even. So that's the reason why we said 2 weeks and 12 weeks for the criteria for our analysis.
So let me ask you this. Did the sample collection happen 100% before the treatment started?
No, no, it was quite quite random. Like some patients got very tests before the treatment start date, and some got after the start date. So, uh, yes, I mean, not all patients received Veristat before the treatment start date.
So I think some reviewers will have problem with that because the Veristrat might be affected by the treatment. So it's not pre-treatment anymore. So I think you should write in the discussion that there are data about how Veristrat changes over time. I think it might be less than 10%. I think there is a Veristrat study that looked at it. If you're not sure, ask the Biodesix representative, email them about that data, and it has to be cited in the discussion. And I think you need some distribution graph that shows the sample treatment date and then sample collection date, minus 14 days, plus 12 days. So it will be more like your 0 point would be treatment start date and the sample collection date with x-axis being left or right, and then you can have like a bar graph showing the distribution, what actually happened to our patients, showing that distribution as part of figure 3 would help readers understand what actually happened in our clinic. And also say that these Veristrat status don't really change. If it's less than 15%, it still makes sense to include them. If it's like they change over time, like 50%, it doesn't make sense to include them because you're affected by the treatment.
Okay, okay, and then I'll find the paper so that we're gonna have to say that. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Did you not add the toxicity graph here?
Actually, there's a preliminary graph. Yeah, that's
this one?
the toxicity graph, and actually, Dr. Lisa was supposed to draw this graph, but I think she couldn't. She didn't have any time, so I think I'm gonna have to make it. Yes, but
Yes, these are the preliminary graphs related to
mhm.
toxicity, these three. So I think we mentioned it last week as well, is that from the data that we have, it kind of just reconfirms that the second graph is telling us that the Veristrat can actually help us predict when the high grade adverse effects. It can be used to predict when the high grade side effects can occur. And then the third graph reconfirms that within the patients that had the high grade adverse effects, that were more prone to have the Veristrat poor compared to the Veristrat good.
Yeah, I think we can say that. Okay, anything else?
So the one of the most important thing was that if you look into um figure one, the main figure, there are a lot of graphs, so I think we should put all these into one piece of paper, but we got so many graphs, so we were like concerned about how can we put this into one single page.
Oh, it's
Uh,
up to journal to figure out. They're good at it. Don't worry.
okay. So can we keep these like this?
Pooled PFS. Pooled. I don't like the word pooled. It's more like there's a two separate study and you pool the study. But it's more like this is all patient, right?
All pages, yes.
Yeah. So I would say all patient PFS.
I see.
Pool meaning you're pooling two different studies together. Second line and beyond is too mouthful. Wordy. Second line, you just put plus. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mm, um, can you also confirm the second figure, please? The next one.
This one,
Yes.
figure two. Looks good.
Thank you.
So the most important graph out of all this is A and B.
Oh, okay.
That has to be emphasized. To
So
emphasize it, there's a graph. So there's Insight study by Biodesics, which there's a lot of oral presentation on this. I gave talk in the YouTube as well. So that's because in guideline, the monotherapy has to be used. In PDL1 50%. And I think a lot of people got monotherapy, but still, despite that, Veristrat poor is very, very poor prognostic sign. And so I guess the I and J on top of A and B is if you do immunotherapy only PD-L1 high, which is the current standard guideline, very sure Abhor is gonna do very poorly. And so cite as many articles as you can find in this subgroup. And I know a company called OncoHost, they have profit test, and they have their reference for profit poor group or profit negative. They call it profit negative. And they, if given in PD-L1 high with ICI only, then they're gonna do very poorly. Okay, so find that poster, abstract, paper, and cite that as well, because it's the same concept. Although they don't use mass spec, they use something like ELISA. So it's a multiplex platform. It's a different platform, maybe biased because you're working with a known set of proteins, but still it's a lot of proteins, like thousands. So it's close to unbiased platform. So you should cite as many proteomic signature that shows the same concept in the discussion. Okay.
I see.
Any other questions?
I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I think that will be it on our part.
Okay. So this is clinical study, and I think the key is you have to understand the whole NCCN guideline. Where is lacking data, and what are we trying to convey here? And what subgroups are clinically meaningful? So this is a nice first step, but little bit concerned about the speed of the work. So keep going and let me know. So you don't have to wait till this lab meeting. If you have a burning question, you always send message through the messenger, okay? Or Gmail is okay if you need to add graph and it's too much information. And always text. And I can give you a short answer, real-time basis too. Okay. Anything, so that's from Taegyu and Ellen. Any updates on the mixed analysis or chip project? Mixed responder. And
Yeah,
chip.
actually, last Saturday, I I met Dr. Jian in Busan, so we talk about that. So already she's already done with the another abstract she was gonna submit for AACR, and then like she wants my help in writing like the other abstract about the mixed response, and she updated what we're not right where we're at right now, and which part should I do. So I'm waiting for her follow-up right now. So
Okay. So make sure you divide and conquer, and make sure someone is following up on weekly basis. Okay.
I can give you a brief update about the chip project. We weren't able to make any progress because the DUA, right, Liam? The agreement with Guardant, I think it's still a work in progress. If Liam can give us any update regarding that.
No updates yet.
So is it on our court or their court? We gotta track it down. Like, is it our lawyers or their lawyers?
That I'll have to check. I'm not sure which. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I'll have to check.
Yeah. So the rule of thumb is there are so many projects pending legal or so we have to, Liam, I'm sure you're doing it, make a table where it is, who do we need to send email to, and send the email at least once a week. They have a lot on their plate, so if we don't bother them, it's not gonna move forward. I've met with garden people. I've done my part to put pressure on them. But what as far as I know, they told me it's the NU lawyers. So I don't know who that is. Find that out. Send email, bug them. Otherwise it's not gonna move. You know, and we've been there so many times. So it pertains to every project. Okay. But I guess so Chip, who's the project lead? Who's doing the chip project?
So when Taegyu and Alan were here, it was kind of like me, Taegyu, Alan. Since they're not here, I was just waiting for the DOA to happen. But if there's like someone new coming, I can also teach them. I can get them involved. Yeah, I think it's kind of unclear at this point.
Yeah. So I don't know, Taegyu or Alan, what is your, are you willing to work on chip or are you don't consider this as your main project?
For me, after the very strat, I was gonna hope to work on the PIR paper with Dr. Yuso, and then if the chip project was kind of making progress, that I kind of joined in onto that. But from when I left, the issue became about the agreement issue, and so I thought the project was kind of postponed until then. Once that kind of all cleared up, I thought I would have a better idea of what I can do related to
Okay,
that
what
project.
about Taegyu?
Okay, to be honest, next Tuesday I'll be in Nonsan, so I won't be able to follow up for a couple months. So actually, for the mixed response, I also talked about this matter with Dr. Jian, and she was like, um, she first thought that I've got a lot of time before my IPDE because like so that like she was thinking of working on this in the whole October, and she thought that she gonna make the results in October, but she didn't realize that I was getting into Kunde in October 10th. So she was like, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." So do as much as I can, then she will take over. But for Dr. Jian, actually, she works as a professor in Korea. So she wants to find someone, and she might wanna find someone at the lab to hand over her projects, like mixed response. So if there's someone new at the lab, maybe it's the better option for me and her to teach the other, I mean the new lab member or the original ones. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm on the right track, but I am helping Dr. Jian upload her 2 abstracts on the AACR for 2024. And she has 2 papers on the ones that I got feedback from Dr. Che. So I'm not sure if she was talking about the same thing with Dr. Taegyu, but it is there's one paper is about, one abstract is about mixed response, and one paper is about intrathoracic lesions. And I am currently helping her do the further analysis for the intrathoracic lesions, but as far as I know, the mixed response abstract is finalized in this form for right now. So I'm not sure if this aligns, but I just wanted to just notify this.
So I know Haesung currently, so I always say this, if you're working remotely, and I allow this on the condition that you'll be on the lab meeting on weekly basis. If not, you have to sign out and not be involved because it's been very difficult to track people down. Where's the project? Where's the project? I cannot actively pursue people. You have to actively pursue me by participating in the lab meeting. That's number one. Number two, we definitely need someone who is in the lab, be the point of contact person and to be able to follow up. Follow up means like, where is the project? Who's in charge? What's the plan? When's the deadline? And who's holding it up and sending the email and make it move forward. If there's any barrier, let me know. And if I need to work on it, let me know what I need to work on it. So that project lead in the lab is Haesung for now. But I think thinking out loud, I think because Haeyoung is working with Dr. Jiyeon, and I don't know, she might choose to continue to work with Dr. Jiyeon even if she goes back to Korea. It's up to Haeyoung, but I think Haeyoung can be involved in the mixed response project at least while she's in the lab because she has 1 more month to go. And Haesung has leave of absence coming up. So I think the chip project as well as the mixed response, Haesung, you can sign out to Seyoung for now. And then when Seyoung, leaves our lab, then you might come back and, get sign out from her. At least, I think Haesung can be the project lead in the lab and Seyoung can continue to work with Jiyeon, Taegyu, and Ellen to carry this forward. So the project lead has to be very versed in collaboration. And collaboration is the most difficult part. Like, oh, who's doing what? Like, what is the expectation? And you'll work. It's not like you're working alone. You're asking me for guidance, but you are in charge of, making that collaboration happen. So is that okay with you, Seyoung?
Yes, I believe so. I don't have any idea on chips or stuff.
So
but I think,
Haesung will just sit down with you
Yeah.
and teach you everything. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Actually, Taegyu, do you mind sending us the presentation that you did on chip? That was pretty well organized and yeah, would be really helpful. Maybe you posted it on our messenger. I can't remember.
Yeah, that would be good. And Seyoung, everything I told people about why chip is important, how to analyze it, everything is all recorded in our previous lab meeting. So you can listen to all of that.
Yeah, we also have Dr. Choi Euni coming in November, so she could also work on that. And hopefully the agreement would be set by then.
Okay.
She comes immediately after Seyoung.
Okay. That's nice. Do they overlap?
No, well, maybe like one day. It says like Seyoung ends on November 3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Dr. Euni comes on that day, like on the 3rd.
Okay. You can sign out to her too, Seyoung. Because she'll be there for 4 weeks.
Yes, got it.
Okay. Taegyu and Ellen, any other questions or comments?
That's pretty much it for me.
Okay.
Same with me too. I think that's all for.
Okay. So I know you guys are busy with many things, but yeah, it is very difficult to actually publish an article, make it, because if you have to send it ASAP because the reviewers will have a lot of questions. You have to work on that ASAP. And the reviewers take like a couple months to give you guys back the comment. So the ball is on your court. You guys just holding it up, right? And it's 3 of you. Oh, she's busy. I'm busy. Like, oh, I'm waiting for comments. No, we don't have time. Whoever has the time, just write it up, the whole thing. Don't wait for the other person and you write it up. Oh, I'm waiting for their comments, their thoughts. we're waiting for the next teleconference. Nothing's gonna happen, guys. Whoever has the time, just sit down and write everything and write it up, and then the next person can read it and then give comments. If you wait for the teleconference and like talk it over, nothing's gonna happen. So everyone has different work style, but mine is, you guys can divide and conquer. You write this portion by this deadline. You write this portion by this deadline. If you don't do it, you don't deserve to be an author. Okay, there's a responsibility. You finish it, and if you have questions, oh, I think this graph is wrong, or like I think this needs to be changed. You guys talk it over, can't reach a conclusion, then you come to me, like, Dr. J, is this right? And then I give you guidance, and then you guys rewrite it, and then you guys submit it. So to me, writing a paper like this is maximum 2 weeks. Okay. You work on this 3 months, there's a problem. Okay. So you have to sit down. When you collaborate, don't say I'm waiting for that person. Just give them timeline. And in that timeline, you have something to do. Write another review, write another case report, write something else. Okay. So make sure in collaboration, there's a time that you guys are not doing anything. You guys give them deadline. If that patient can't do it, that person can't do it, then they don't deserve to be an author. Okay, you have to be very strict with this. So I'm just giving you, because this is a life thing. Collaboration's gonna happen, continue on, and there's gonna be people who slack, who do not meet the guidelines, and there has to be consequences. Okay, they're out of the project. Okay, it's your own project, and you have to make sure you work with that person. And people who don't realize this is an opportunity, no, we cannot give them any more projects. It's hard enough to manage, like, who's doing what, and it has to come from people who wants to work, who wants to take advantage of the opportunity. Not like, oh, I don't have time to do this. Why are you giving me this to work on? Okay, you're not part of our team. So make sure the project lead do the right assignment, but you have to talk it over. You cannot be, you have to talk what can you do, what's your bandwidth, and how can we work best. You have to talk it over, and then assign things, and then keep the promise. A project without deadline will not happen. It's not going to happen. So, and oftentimes, it's hard to do it. So my expectation is lab managers, Hasong and Liam, keep track of the deadline, who's doing, whose ball, whose court is the ball in, and move it. Okay, it's your job as a manager to do it. But I know it's always very hard to do it as a, in remote setting. But this is a life lesson. Just keep doing what you can. But I'm just giving you what is generally thought of as the appropriate timeline for these projects. And it's one thing, Dr. Iser is not here, understandably, because of her clinical duties, and it's super hard to do these projects while you're doing, working as a resident. And Dr. Cha is here because she has 4 weeks time carved out for this, just to do this. If not, it's like, it's hard to do it while you're on clinical duty. But if you're doing it in your carved out time, writing a retrospective analysis paper, in my mind, is 4 weeks. You have to sit down and full time, write it out, do the analysis, collect data. And if not, you cannot be productive. Writing a clinical retrospective study, in my mind, is 4 week project, at best 8 weeks. You can get help from undergrad. making graphs together, do the referencing, and writing introduction together. But you have to take this very seriously, okay? And understand the project ins and out. If you don't know when to do immunotherapy, or chemoimmunotherapy, what is the randomized clinical trial result? You don't know the field. You have to know the field, write the paper. I'm here to constantly answer your questions. But I feel like we need more professionalism here. Okay. Okay. Enough of my lecture today. So
Yeah, right.
keep up the
Sorry,
good
Dr. Che.
work, Taegyu and Ellen. And
Right.
there's nobody in Korea?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, right, Dr. Che. Sorry about our progress, but yeah, we'll keep that in mind, and we'll keep you updated on everything.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Emma, I know you have update or any question?
Yeah, so we're still working on running our variants of the tools. This is a small question, but so we're looking at missense variants, and all of our variants are missense, but most of them are obviously SNVs. But there are a couple that are indels, so should we not include those?
Oh, because I think our paper, if you look at the methods, I think it said we limit to SNVs, right? Because indel is hard to, right? I think predict.
So we didn't write it in our paper, which is why I'm asking. But yeah, some of the tools can run indels, but like half of them can't. So I feel like we should just take them out.
Right. Let's take them out.
Okay. Yeah. So we're basically like halfway done with running the tools. So we'll have the analysis done by the end of this week, and we'll be able to see our results and go from there.
Okay. How are you dividing the work between you and?
So it's just Eileen and I working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we both collected the data, and we're both running it through the tools right now.
Okay. And remind me, what's the title? It's
hold on. Evaluation of in silico tools for variant classification in missense variants of solid cancer with actionable genetic targets. Should we specify SNV in the title or just put it in our method?
No, in the method is fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And did we choose target journal?
You mentioned Helian. Helian.
Yeah. That should be okay.
Oh, and also for Eugene's paper that was submitted to Helion, it's under review now, so hopefully we can get some results back soon.
Okay. Yeah. Keep following. You submitted it or?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just maybe once a week, just go to the submission webpage and see if there are any comments. Sometimes you miss the email. And it goes to, I think, corresponding author, and it sometimes goes to trash can or yeah, so yeah, check on the progress. What else? Oh, was it Eileen, or you said one of the algorithm is
Condell.
yeah, not working anymore? Is it, what happened?
So I did send them an email. So I did send them an email. And I followed up this morning actually, but they haven't responded, and I'm not sure if they're gonna respond. So in that case, should we continue using that tool or should we just take it out?
I mean, if it's not if they, I don't. I guess we already collected all the data, right? It's not like do we have to use it now or do we have all the data we need?
So we have the data for our old set of variants, and I'm sure our new set is pretty similar to the old set, but we don't know that. And since we have a lower level criteria now, we have much more variants than the old set, so
I
we
see.
haven't run those little tools yet.
Well, I guess we have no option. If it's not working now, then we have to take out that Condell.
Yeah, do you want us to just take it out or replace it with a different tool? Because there are other classifications.
Right. Was there a criteria of selecting those tools? Do you remember?
Eugene picked them because they were like just the most commonly found in literature, and they were mentioned in either, I think, ACMG guidelines.
Oh yeah, ACMG. Yeah, genetic, yeah. So how many tools do we have now?
So including Conda, there's 6.
6. Okay. Okay, I'll say why don't you two do literature search? And if that 5 is still the most commonly used 5, we're good with 5. If there's like recent one, like, oh, a lot of people are using, that's not part of that 5, then we're obliged to use that one. Like if you feel like, yeah. So I don't know in the recent couple of years what changed, but look for the trend, and if you feel like 5 is enough, do it. If there's a new one a lot of people are using and we're just neglecting it, then reviewers in the field might know why did you guys not use this one that we're currently using and is popular. That might be problematic. So
Okay,
yeah, find it and let me know what you think. Okay.
got it.
Okay. Anything else, Emma?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Eileen, anything else from you?
Oh, no, those are the same updates as mine.
Great. Thank you. Okay.
Hey, Eileen, do you know, do you have any updates on the other variants classification that,
Grace Lee.
yes.
No, and that's kind of just been sitting, I think, because I was also working on this one. So I don't know if that should be the next project that I work on after this one, or simultaneously, or even like combining the two.
Any thoughts, Dr. Che? Like, should they
So again,
simultaneous?
what is the question?
The project that Grace Lee had led
Mm-hmm.
when she was here, which is similar, but it was looking at I forgot the exact title, but
What was it about?
I think
Was
it's the potential.
yeah, potential.
potential targets in, was it lung or solid tumor?
Long.
Lung. Okay. So Eugene Kim was actionable target in lung, and potential target in lung was Grace Lee. Okay. Is that all ready or is it being written?
We have data for it and like a table set up with containing the data. There's manuscript for it.
You said there is manuscript?
There's not a manuscript.
Oh. So what? So who was working on it? Was it just Grace, and Grace doesn't have bandwidth? Is that what's going on?
That was originally, and then I think it kind of got passed down onto me, and then we were trying to like work on it like along with the one that Dr. Chu was leading a while back, and then it kind of got thrown to the side, and I take responsibility for not taking more initiative with that project as well.
So Eileen, because you're here, I think you should just take the lead and submit it. Write it and submit it.
Okay, and that would just be similar formatting, just with different data as the
Yeah,
project.
everything Emma is doing, I think we'll just do the same thing.
Okay.
And feel free to work with other lab members who are going to join. like
Like
Irene
Irene. Okay.
and Amy.
Okay.
You can work, you can work with them on those projects too.
Amy's actually going to come in later today, so you can talk
Oh,
with her when
okay.
she comes in.
Okay.
And also, do you know any updates regarding the project with Grace King and Jessica, Sally, and Dr. Yoonhee?
I don't know anything about that project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since Grace is coming to the lab, she should be the project lead for that at this time.
I do know that their manuscript is almost ready. They received feedback from you, Dr. Che, and Dr. Yoonhee is currently working on the final draft. So last time I heard, they were just waiting for her to provide the final edited version.
Hmm. Okay, I hope they present the manuscript next meeting then. Yeah, just tell them they need to appoint someone to present. If they can't, if any of them can't present, they can appoint you, or whoever is in the lab. And this is why we're recording this session, so that whoever can't come, they still listen to my comments. Okay, very good. So that's all for the variant project and Eileen, you can still be part of our patient screening project and all of those. And I don't know about the radiomics. Liam, is she part of radiomics too, or?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so more like as needed basis. Yeah. Okay, Eileen, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, Saley, welcome from Irvine. Were you able to have access or no?
Well, actually, I have some problem with that. So, well, actually, it is supposed to be 14 days free of
Yeah.
reconfirmation, but something went wrong. And anyways, I need to talk with you in real time basis again, I think. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Right,
Yeah.
right after this lab meeting, you can talk to me and also
Uh, yeah, that'll be very helpful.
yeah. Okay, but so what are you trying to work on? The patient,
Oh.
is that the patient selection?
I need the Epic access because of this immunotherapy screening. Well,
Mhm.
actually, I've joined two ongoing projects, one regarding the radiomics and the
Mhm.
other immunotherapy screening.
Hmm,
And I need this Epic for this immunotherapy screening for
I see.
yeah.
Okay, okay. But you're gonna work with Liam on those two projects, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. All right, hopefully we'll get you set up there. But good to see you. Okay. Dr. Chaha, give me updates.
Uh, so I shared my screen. So
Uh-huh.
and so Will is working on the primary screening, and then I so after we discussed with you, Dr. Che, last week, we added more index with more columns. And so now I think we have
good template to collect data. And I reviewed all the patients that I did. Again, all the 17 patients that I reviewed, I did review again based on the new template. So far I have done with about 17 or 18 patients. Yes. And as you can see this, there are 2 patients. But for the first, I divide this patient into two row because I divide this depending on the stage. So this stage patient was stage 3, and this is data when patient advanced to stage 4. But I noticed it takes a lot of time, and later I just decided to put the comment like this. Yes, so for the last week, I just reviewed all the patients that I did before, based according to their new template, and I noticed some mistakes and updated it. That's it.
So show me the columns that you edited.
This one, definitive treatment, if the patient had any definite treatment, like surgery, chemo, or no definite treatment, and start date of definitive treatment. And also if a patient received different line of therapy, we specified the number of line and what regimen the patient received. Yes, so it was hard to collect data according to the template. There are some data. There are some information that I can put in the template. So I just review the comments or things. Yes. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I tried to. I did my best. To fill up all the information, and I added additional information in their comment part.
What is ongoing OS?
So if patient is still alive, I discussed with Liam, and if patient is still alive, we decided to put the date of today and put the comment here, ongoing OS. Otherwise, we can calculate overall survival.
So it should not be called date of death then. It's the last
follow-up.
So how do you know patient is alive? Like let's say 10-2. Do you know by their telephone calls?
So yeah, I noticed some patients just lost follow-up after they were discharged to hospice. In that case, I just put a comment here. I can't find it, but
Okay, good. So here's what I would do. If patient is discharged to hospice,
yeah.
there may not be a death note.
Mm.
But it's likely that patient died. So you cannot assume patient died, but I would Google obituary, put patient name, and find any obituary. Usually people do it online. So that's, and then you find the date of death, then you put it. If you can't find it, patient just went to hospice and you can't find anything. I mean, you should still go to media. Sometimes there's a note from the nursing home. You should still go to Care Everywhere. Maybe in another institution, there's something written about patient's status. So you should do your due diligence to find if patient's dead or alive. Last to follow up may not be in-person visit, but it may be just the patient MyChart message or telephone call. Any evidence that patient was alive until then is last follow-up. And then there's a death or alive, 1 or 0. So the last follow-up is going to be automatically date of death. Okay, if they are dead. If last follow-up is just the date and there's no patient did not die, that's in, by definition last follow-up, which is censored. So that's how you draw Kaplan-Meier curve. Everyone has till the last follow-up, and that date is either death or not. So you don't have to like comment ongoing OS anywhere. Last follow-up, and if death is yes or no. If death is no, you assume the patient is censored on that day. Just censored. That's how you draw. So to me, you don't need date of death. You have last follow-up, and if that last follow-up date is time of death, you just say death yes or not. Because last follow-up for someone who's dead that's going to be the date of death. Nothing else. So that's how you record overall survival. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the last follow-up is the date of death. Because look, the date of death in the last follow-up is different here on the third patient.
Maybe I think it's, I have to review the patient again, but maybe the patient was expired during the admission. Yeah, this is the time of date of death, and this was the admission date.
Right, but the last follow-up date has to be death date for someone who died.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the more simple, the better. So again, you don't need a separate date of death. You need last follow-up and just say that date is death date or not. That's enough. Okay.
So should we make a more index here in overall? So should we make more index here for a live patient like census?
So again, I would just have last follow-up date and then death, yes or no, 1 and 0.
Okay. Yeah, the death index is here, 1 and 0. But if patient is alive, they don't need date of death.
Right. So date of death for someone who died has to be last follow-up date. Has to be same. Because you're going to make a Kaplan-Meier curve not based on date of death, but based on last follow-up. So make sure last follow-up and date of death are same all the time.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna change it.
Okay. Good thing you mentioned that. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. So Dr. Cha, or were you able to work with Dr. Hesong?
You mean regarding temples?
Yeah.
Uh, I think yeah, yes.
So the TAP project, I had a meeting on Friday and Dr. Chaha, I think, was in the clinic at the time, so we couldn't be there together. But anyways, we had a technical issue during the meeting, so the meeting only lasted like 5 minutes. And they said they would send me like a training packet for Python. I still haven't received that, and also they're still working on getting the raw data for me. So I expect that there would be more delays regarding the TAP project. But regarding the ITH project, I did analyze, based on above and below median. I was going to show it to her as well, but she was also in clinic. But yeah, I was going to show that to you today during the lab meeting.
Okay.
But short story is that there was no significance.
Okay. Yeah, I just want Dr. Chaha to learn how to do Kaplan-Meier, so that when she's experienced the first, like the foundation phase of a process, but when we get to the last end of the research projects, then it's all about how do you analyze what, where's the cutoff and all of that. And Cha, you can go back to your hospital, and Dr. Myungwoo is pretty good too. You can learn from Dr. Myungwoo, but it's always best to learn while you're here. So that's why I think ITH, whether there is significance or not, at least teaching how Dr. Cha how to run those analysis would be very helpful for her. So Dr. Cha, did you watch any of the videos that our lab made?
Our lab meeting videos. Previous videos. No.
So Liam, didn't we have like the teaching materials that other previous members made?
For
statistical
for
analysis in general.
yes, we do have one just on R though. It was by Dr. Chi-san.
Oh, that's just R?
I think Dr. Chow also watched the Prism ones, didn't you tell me? But you had some trouble. I personally have never used Prism, but
So
yeah, I
Prism,
think you had a
did you watch the Prism video, Dr. Cha?
Just the first a few videos. Yeah, just a few videos.
Who made them?
It was like Dr. Taeyong and then a few others.
Dr. Go Taeyong? Okay.
So like a long time ago.
Yeah. Dr. Go Taeyong is third year, fourth year?
No, he's working as a hospitalist. I forgot where, but he graduated.
Virginia.
Virginia? Okay.
No, I saw some videos about statistics in Prism website of it, the first
Oh,
of it.
Prism website. Okay. Yeah, they have tutorial. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those who want to do time to outcome analysis, Prism is I guess the easiest program that you can use. So I think for beginners, you should learn how to use Prism and really play with the data. Okay. So Dr. Cha, my expectation is you work with Dr. Hesong, learn how to do the Kaplan-Meier curve, and whether it's ITH or any other biomarker, you could kind of learn how to do it. So whenever you want to analyze the very data set that you collected, you can do it by yourself. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's go to Seong. Give me updates on what you've been doing and let me know if you have any questions.
Yes. Dr. Jaha, can you stop sharing your screen? Dr. Jaha, can you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, I try to.
Okay. I think you have to do it with the big computer, not your. Because you're sharing, I can't share yet, so you have to stop sharing your.
Okay, got it. Here, okay. Okay.
So first of all, regarding the topic radiomics, AACR 2024 abstract, I'm helping Dr. Jian upload one for now. I've gone through all the details and I'm waiting to be checked by Dr. Liam on the things that I've uploaded and checked because I've read through and went through the feedbacks of Dr. Che here, but I'm not an author of this, and I just want to make sure that I don't do anything wrong. So I'm currently working on this, and I think I will be able to submit this within this week. And regarding the second abstract, the intrathoracic lesion one, I am helping Dr. Jiyoung go with the further analysis, and we're just working back and forth with email regarding the IRE cyst. And this is the file that I helped Dr. Liam send for the 70 new patients DICOM files to be received. So I had to go through the EPIC to get all these accession numbers, and we've submitted this last Friday. And last week, I believe, we received questions on these highlighted accession numbers that were quite either wrongly put it or it was the problem of the system. So we updated the final numbers of this. So we are waiting to receive the 70 new patient DICOM files to work on further after the 127 patients. And regarding this, Dr. Liam and Dr. Jian had a Zoom meeting on Friday and was asking about the questions, was asking on the final files that she used while she was finishing her analysis on 127 patients. And we found that there was a misunderstanding or a different view of how Dr. Jiyoung wants to go on with the further analysis. And it's that first, when I got here, my understanding was that under Dr. Liam's guidance, I was supposed to work on the set 2 and set 3 of the 127 patients that has already segmented. But Dr. Jiyoung's thought was that that would be quite hard, and she rather thinks that the set that we have for the first set that she has for 127 patients is enough. we were trying to do set 2 and 3 because it is a norm that 3 individual radiologists or physicians go through the segmentations, and we use all 3 sets to kind of evenize or like balance between the differences. But she was making point that even the first set, it's not technically, we can't say we are completely correctly doing it as one individual physician, because like Peter or other people who aren't really like a medical duty doctor or a specialist in tumor has seen those slides, and she thinks that having the second and third set wouldn't in this setting wouldn't come out as a very qualified result. So I guess I thought that I should check on this, how you think about it, and regarding that result, I think we would have more guidance to whether to pivot this or the next step to go on.
Okay, so Liam, can you clarify her question? Like,
Yeah, so bottom line is Dr. Chian was hesitant and reluctant to do the second and third set of segmentations for the 127 patients because whoever does it is going to be less trained basically than Dr. Chian. And if, you know, when she was here, when anyone who was doing the segmentations had questions, they could ask her and she can provide them with immediate feedback. But now that she's not here, and most of us here do not have the type of experience that Dr. Chian has in order to distinguish tumor from what's not tumor. She basically thinks we will introduce more bias by having the second and third set of segmentations for that initial 127 patients. So she just wants to stick with that first set, one, and leave it as the one and only set for the 127, and then maybe just do the 3 separate sets for the additional 70 patients we're getting. So that was something we wanted to, she wanted to bring up with you, and asked us to kind of communicate this to you and to kind of figure out how you would want to go about doing this. So normally, you know, ideally we're supposed to have 3 different sets, but at least with the initial 127, like when Dr. Chian was here, she kind of worked hard to make sure that it was of at least adequate quality. It's still not perfect, but it's still something we can use. But, so yeah.
Well, what is Dr. Yuri wants to do?
So we sent him an email on Thursday or Friday, and we haven't heard back from him yet. So we'll see what he says.
Because I don't think it's accustomed to do just one set. I mean, for publication quality, I think for abstract, we can do whatever we want. And I know Dr. Yuri's team has some students, and, you know, he could, you know, he's radiologist or a researcher in that field. And then, you know, any of the radiology trained people can do it.
The thing is, we've also experienced a lot of inconsistencies when Dr. Yuri's team works on these. So sometimes like his fellows are just PhDs. And yes, they do radiomics, but it appears that in a lot of the instances, they kind of lack the clinical experience to distinguish tumors on CT scans.
I see.
So when Peter was here with Dr. Chian, they were reviewing the work of Dr. Yuri's team, and there were a lot of mistakes that they had to actually fix.
A lot of mistakes. Okay. So that's why I guess Dr. Chian disregarded those wrongfully annotated segments.
Yes, that's why we had to like do them all over again. And that's, you know, and then we learned about, we did a lot of troubleshooting when Peter and Dr. Chian was here. So that's why she feels relatively confident with the current data set.
Uh.
and feels hesitant about the second and third for the initial 127. She thinks we're just going to introduce more bias by doing so.
I see.
Dr. Yuri did say that we can publish with just one set, or we can do the analysis with just one set. But whether or not it's better to have 3 sets for publication purposes, that's something we'll just have to wait to hear back from him on.
I see. Okay, then let's focus on the 70 for now. And
So for the 70, the second question becomes, are you okay with proceeding with 3 different sets of segmentations? Because right now we have, if we do 3, it'll be Haeyoung, it'll be Dr. Sally, and then it will be Dr. Monica.
okay.
And with these 3 people doing the segmentations, I think we have an opportunity to do it the proper way, like having 3 completely independent coders doing the segmentations from the get-go.
I just worry that the first ones were just 1 reviewer, right? And then the next 70 is 3 reviewers, so it's not consistent. So I guess if you're practicing, well, I guess Dr. Sally has the most experience. She's, you know, she is bored and she should be able to look at the CT chest and say, this is cancer, this is not cancer. And sometimes it's challenging, like lymphangitic spread, what are you gonna do? It's gonna, so I think you are able to read the report from radiology and say, even radiologists are not convinced this is cancer or not. They'll just say it could be that or that, you know. And then you have to use your clinical judgment and read the note. You know, patient has no fever, no cough, but if it's continuing to grow, then it's likely to be, the GGO is likely to be cancer. So you have to read the clinical context. Patient abruptly has fever and like a new consolidation, it's pneumonia. So, you know, there are those difficult cases. I would say talk to Liam first, and if Liam can't figure out, talk to me. And of course, Dr. Jian is still involved. Using the trial image trial, she can look at the image and troubleshoot with you, Seong. So, I think, so here's my suggestion. Do the 70, divide and, well, but it has to be the same reviewer. We can't divide 70, or, you know, in different reviewers. When are we getting the 70 patient images?
Yeah, so actually I have an update on that. We actually just received those 70 slides yesterday, like evening.
Okay.
So I was going to sit down with Seong today to go through the scans and make sure we received everything, they didn't miss anything, where there aren't any mistakes, and then start the segmentation process hopefully today.
Okay.
So yeah, I think one of the things we wanted to kind of decide with you on is like if we wanted the 3 independent segmentations.
Yeah, I think ideally that's what I want. But again, I mean, all of them are MDs, so they should be able to do it with the best of their knowledge. And believe me, it's they're not all radiologists. When I was in training in MD Anderson, like we were the ones who were doing RECIST, not radiologists. So you just read the guideline and you follow the instructions. if you're a medical school graduate, you should be able to do it. Don't feel like you're not qualified. Okay.
So the intrathoracic lesions, it's pretty, I think we will be able to handle. It's like the axillary lymph nodes that become very tricky.
Hmm. And again, don't assume anything. If you have question, talk to me, talk to Dr. Jian, talk to Liam. And that's why this is going to be a learning process for you. Very clinical. That's why PhDs are not good at this. All depends on clinical context, and that is highly thought after. You know, pharmaceutical companies love MDs. Okay, because we have clinical insight. No offense to PhDs, but any clinical studies, you need to work with MDs. So I think because Monica will be on board and Dr. Seri came on board, I think Seyoung will. My expectation is next month, Seyoung should be able to finish the 70 patients. And then, yeah, Dr. Saley and Monica should work on the independent set. And once it's done, we'll kind of see how it goes. But at some point, we'll have to come back to the initial set and do that. But we'll have to think about a way to do it accurately. But my short answer is, because we now have manpower, we should do 3 independent. But if something happens, Monica gets busy, Dr. Saley can't have access, then it's Taeyong finishing the 70. Okay. Okay, next question.
I kind of have a question on, so the 70 set I start doing on my own. And one of the things that Dr. Jiyeon was worried about is, I understand that I can reach out to Dr. Liam, you or Dr. Jiyeon regarding the segments, but she kind of mentioned that asking all this to a same like physician, Dr. Jiyeon, would end up in not meeting the correct requirement of having 3 individual physicians. So I'm kind of not sure how much I should reach on to her.
I don't understand your question.
Can I speak in Korean for a moment?
Of course.
그러니까 그 3명의 서로 다른 의사들이 세그멘테이션을 해야 되는데, 결국 이주연 교수님이 계속 가이던스를 주면은 결국 그게 3명의 인디비주얼이 아니라 결국 다 이주연 교수님이 되는 문제에 대해서 교수님이 얘기한 적도 있는데, 그럼 일단 이 70명의 세그멘테이션을 제가 진행을 할 때 사실 제가 어느 정도로 디펜던트하게 해야 되는지에 대해서 조금.
근데 선생님들의 레벨에서는 이재원 선생님이든 뭐 저든 more 가이던스를 받는 걸 추천하고요. 결국은 인디펜던트를 한다는 게 사람마다 이게 매뉴얼 레이버로 그리는 거니까.
네네.
이렇게 그리는 사람이 있고 뭐 이렇게 그려버리는 사람이 있고 사람마다 에러가 있잖아요. 그래서 그걸 최소화하려는 거거든요. 근데 이거는 예를 들어서 투머가 아닌데 그걸 투머로 해버리면 그거는 wrong이잖아요.
네.
그런 에러들은 확실히 전문가랑 얘기를 해서 줄여주고, 그 리전을 찾았을 때 그거를 제대로 그리는 것은 개인차가 있기 때문에 그거를 평균으로 합산하려고 하는 거니까, 이걸 그리는 게 맞는지 아닌지가 궁금할 때는 당연히 물어봐야 되죠. 그리고 셋 다 물어보는 게 좋죠.
알겠습니다.
그런 질문이에요. 그리고 그 픽처 헬스가 좀 그리기 쉽게 도와주는 프로그램을 쓸 수 있게 해준다고 하지 않았어요?
네, 그 미팅이 안 그래도 오늘 2시에 픽처 헬스랑 있는데요. 그때 다시 한번 팔로우업 해보면 될 것 같습니다.
그래서 그걸 쓸 수 있으면 그게 시간을 많이 줄여줄 것 같아요. 그걸 딱 갖다 대면 걔가 이렇게 좀 해줘가지고 우리가 처음부터 끝까지 안 해도 되는 테크놀로지를 많이 이용할수록 좋은 것 같습니다.
네.
네. 저는 요즘 테슬라 오토 드라이빙을 하니까 팔이랑 다리가 훨씬 좋아졌어. 안 하니까 테크놀로지를 이용할수록 우리가 체력을 아껴야 됩니다. 네, 다른 질문 없어요?
I do have further updates on what I did, so should I just go on? And regarding the radiomics, I'm still in the field of radiomics. While I was talking with Dr. G, and we kind of while we were tracking down the final 127 patient segmentation files and everything, we talked before that we were missing some files and the quality control of the final version wasn't quite clear. So me and Dr. Liam also went back to Dr. Yuri's computer and went through the internet recycle bin and everything, but we couldn't quite find the complete DICOM files and complete segmentation files that matched to each other. And we also found some problems regarding the DICOM files that were shared to the picture health or image trial, that they were kind of outdated. So while we were talking to Dr. Jiyeon about this, she asked us to check all the DICOM files that are in the drive right now to make sure that the final segmentations and the DICOM files match. And this is a manual labor job. And because Dr. Saley and Dr. Monica is on board remotely, I set up the environment so that they could work and access the DICOM files and segmentation files and have divided our work so that from the very first patient to the very last patient, we would check individually whether the DICOM files and the segmentation files would match. And after checking all this, we are trying to maybe share this again to the image trial or picture health. But we're not sure about the next step, but we are currently doing this. And because this was a remote process and everything had to be aligned, I also made up a SOP so that they could follow and the big steps that we should align. So Dr. Monica and Dr. Saley would work on this. So this is another thing that's been going on with radiomics. And yes. And so this is it for me for radiomics. And regarding the EDW, like the immunotherapy screening process, I'm very happy to say that with a lot of discussion with Will, I think we have currently solved the problem of duplicated patients for the first line screening. So we sorted that out and also sorted what has been already done by Dr. Jaha, which was kind of like a mix-up in prior. So we also sorted that out. So we think for now the duplication problem is sorted, and Will has been working on to divide that into groups so that the undergraduates would work on it. And I also divided this with Dr. Jaha and Dr. Saley, so we could also work on the secondaries. And for
after duplicate is taken care of, what is the total number?
Will, do you have the accurate number?
So the whole list was like 1700-ish, but I'll like go in depth about this like when I present my works.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1700 total is what is the final product.
Yes.
Okay.
And regarding the secondary form that Dr. Jaha has been also talking about with you, I guess like these yellow columns are the functions that I implied on Excel so that we don't have to manually calculate or everything. So
Good.
I guess I will also work with Dr. Jaha to update the date, the death date and being
Mhm.
alive, so the OS would be calculated. Yes. So yeah, that would be the big outlines of what I've been doing for a week.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thanks for troubleshooting a lot of things. Hands-on research, patient data cleaning and how do you extract and then how do you cater the data to your agenda? How do you divide and conquer? How do you code it in a way that it can be analyzed faster later on? Streamline the whole process. Is no joke. It's a lot of time. But you have to go through that process because at the end of the day, you can't trust your data. Like, you're not gonna be confident, like, oh, I don't know. Like, if you know your data ins and out, you troubleshoot it a lot, you have confidence that this is the real truth. And I'm talking about the truth, the data that I have. Then you're gonna be confident and you have to believe your data to convince others. If you don't believe in your data, then you have to work harder to collect your data. They're good quality. They're collected in a way, annotated in a way that's believable. So I just want to, command and encourage everyone who's been part of, laying foundation process. It's tedious, laborious, but it is real life. It is what makes research happen. And it is just as important as doing the final analysis or writing the manuscript. I feel like that's even more important. So that conceive step, coming up with a new idea, coming up with a new data source, that's half of the work. And asking good questions and asking like what data do we need to collect and how do we format the data, all that is the key of good research. So but working with retrospective data is not easy, so you might as well do perspective study where everything is there. As patient enroll, you make sure you collect everything. So, and then if there's randomization, if there's something to avoid bias, that's even better. So for you guys, medical research, someone works with cell line, protein, whatever that is, and come up with a hypothesis. Yes, maybe PD-L1 is really a good protein that will be the key of immune modulating cancer cells. They do cell line mouse work and come up with the hypothesis, yes, this is a really good molecule. And then somebody in the pharmaceutical business makes a really good antibody for it. And then do mouse study, rat study, then monkey study, then first in human study, and then show it's safe. And then someone needs to figure out where's the best target, what disease should we target, and then they designed study, and they actually did a study. It's an octopus study. Octopus meaning it's so many legs in one clinical study, and they have to be really fast. And then comes a different study in third line, second line. They move on to front line. Now everyone is using PD-1 inhibitor front line, small cell lung cancer, non-small cell lung cancer, melanoma, renal cell, hepatocellular carcinoma, you name it, triple negative breast cancer. It has moved that far. So it's all about you know, how, and then how do we know who does best? You know, what are the predictors? What are the prognostic, or what are the predictive factors? So there's so many good research about that. And a lot of them are really clinical question. Like if someone gets COVID-19 vaccine, someone gets influenza vaccine, and then gets immunotherapy, their immune system is revved up. So they're more likely to have good response. So how do you do that? By doing chart review. Who got the vaccine recently? Who didn't get it? And maybe there's a bias. Someone who gets it is more health conscious, and they're maybe able to take care of their body better. So in this kind of retrospective analysis, there's so much bias introduced to it. And how do you minimize the bias? It's all, you know, all good questions, and there are people who tried their best to answer those questions. So I just want to give you a big picture. Asking good question, where's the good hypothesis, and then how do you develop that into ultimate international randomized clinical trial that's going to change the whole medicine paradigm, how we treat the disease, and change the guideline. So that's what we want as a physician. We don't want to stop at any one point. We want to continue developing a concept that will transform patients' care across the globe. And, you know, why are we doing radiomics? It's a lot of work. Well, does radiomic hold future? I don't know. I'm still skeptical. I you know, we did not have home run, but I do believe in power of AI, that it might be able to. Now, AI is helping definitely H&E slide analysis. Then it should be able to help with radiomics analysis. But how? Like, what are the techniques? That, you know, we're thankful that Dr. Yuri is working with us, but he's not clinician. So we are the ones. Where are we seeing the most benefit? So why are we doing patient selection process? So the next agenda is, let's take out all the neoadjuvant patients. You know, it depends on Will and the undergrads, how fast they can screen out patients. If we are able to do it, then we can at least get maybe 100 neoadjuvant patients. And in neoadjuvant patients, you know, using H&E slide AI, using radiomics AI, or using just maybe just for my patients, I do VeriStrat for everybody. Like in neoadjuvant setting, how is VeriStrat predictive or not predictive? All of these, where you're collecting BMI. BMI matter a lot in neoadjuvant setting. It does matter a lot in metastatic setting, maybe because of tumor cachexia. But in neoadjuvant setting, tumor cachexia is not really a concern. They only get tumor chemotherapy 3 or 4 cycles. So the BMI may not be as a good predictor in neoadjuvant setting. No one knows. There are many good clinical questions like this that you can explore and write a good paper on. But we can't do it unless we have good data source. And you know, I just feel like having a big picture of why we're doing all this is critical. Because as human being, we have to be motivated. Like, oh, I'm in the lab, they made me do this, and I don't know, why am I doing this? I think it's just, you know, taking up my time, and I don't know how it's going to help my future. And you don't get motivated at all. So you have to understand in big picture, changing patient treatment paradigm, coming up with the best biomarker, where does our work fit in, and what am I contributing? So I just want you to have that large picture that can hopefully motivate you and read more and do better and be professional at it. So that's my 2 cents. Let's take a 10-minute break and come back and finish up. Okay. Okay, I am back. Okay, Will. We're giving updates.
Yeah. So following up from Dr. Seyoung, what Dr. Seyoung is doing with pathomics and radiomics. On my side, we as a whole like found some inconsistency between the pathomic slide numbers and the patient numbers on radiomics. Like we found some of them to that are like mismatching. So what I'm doing now is I'm comparing the slide numbers on pathomics and radiomics slide numbers, and kind of like I'm trying to match like the patients that are like not aligned with each other by searching up all of their MRNs on Epic. That's the first task that I'm doing. I was assigned this like yesterday from Dr. Liam. So that's the first task that I'm doing.
So Dr. Liam, pathomics and radiomics, are you integrating those two? Is that what you're?
Yes, basically. So we have the radiomics data set, we have the pathomics data set, but we haven't matched the two data sets together. So like the radiomics data set had its own study ID numbers and pathomics had its own study IDs. So we have the radiomics data set from like Peter and Dr. Chian, and we have the pathomics data set from Dr. Isel. And because we want to integrate these platforms kind of with the multi-omics approach, and we need to send these out to like Picture Health, we needed to match the patient IDs so that we know that we're looking at the same patient's radiomics files as well as the pathomics files. So we had to troubleshoot there. We were able to trace it down. So we received the study ID from Dr. Isol and then the study ID from Dr. Chion, and then we're matching the MRNs so that we can rename the pathomic slide numbers to match that of the radiomics study ID, so that we'll have it under one study ID for all of our projects. So he's just going through the path slides right now and comparing them to our radiomics study numbers and renaming them so we can send it out to Picture Health. And then obviously to Lunit and all the other companies.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, Will, go ahead.
And following up on that, the second task that I'm working on, it's still the cohort B lab manual. It's finished on my side, but we're still waiting on 2 of the 6 companies that is missing their contact info. Plus one of them is missing their like the procedure. So we're waiting on that. But everything else is like, I think it's on point. And most importantly, I think this is like the biggest biggest update that I have in the whole world for the EDW stuff. So let me just recap what we have done. I just want to like give huge thanks to Dr. Seyoung, Dr. Jaha, and whoever worked on this to make this happen. But what we did was initially there were like 26,000 patients in EDW like spreadsheet when we received it. That included the patients from August 1st of 2020 to July 1st of 2023. And until these numbers were assigned like to the undergrads, we had no idea that the duplicates were not filtered. And this was like found by Dr. Seyoung. So what we did was we narrowed down all of the duplicates. We removed all of the duplicates from the original, EDW spreadsheet. And then we were tracked down to 2,300 patients that had unique values. And then among those 2,300 patients, we compared it to to another spreadsheet that compiled like all of the patients that me, Grace, and Jessica worked on like until then. And then of course there were also duplicates on our, the spreadsheet that all of the 3 undergrads worked on. And then so the duplicate, there were some like ups and downs on these spreadsheets, but in conclusion, we have for the spreadsheet that like the compiled version from 3 undergrads that has 510 patients that were completed. So we are left with 1798 patients that should be like primary screened on the initial like EDW spreadsheet. And for the 510 like patients that we like screened, there were some patients that received immunotherapy out of the date range that we're looking for. So outside of the date range between August of 2020 and July 1st of 2023. So me and Grace right now are working on this spreadsheet, and we're kind of like filtering the patients who might have not received their immunotherapy outside of the date range. And we're kind of like excluding the patients that is like outside of the criteria. But that's
So
like the, yep.
yeah, that's great. That's great that the numbers are more realistic, and then you guys did a lot of screening so far, so kudos to all of you. Now Liam, can we go over why we had that time period or criteria? Was it because we were concerned of too many patients, or do you remember?
I think the previous, like the data sheet that I like the patients that were screened like before August of 2020 was like already like sorted out. Wasn't it, Dr. Liu?
Yeah, so before this time frame is we've already done, according to Dr. Isol.
But where's that data? I don't remember it being done.
I'll clarify with her. I was assuming she had it.
Okay. So I guess going through this all over again is not to miss any single patient who received the immunotherapy in our institution. This kind of depends on how you extract the data. That's number one. Number two is to categorize patient, like I told you guys, adjuvant, neoadjuvant, concurrent radiation, and palliative care, systemic therapy. So those are the 2 main reasons why we're doing this all over again. When's the start date, Will, for the period?
August 1st of 2020.
August 1st of 2020. So I don't understand why this date was chosen. But I don't have recollection that the categorization happened before that date. So I know you guys screened those patients, so I just feel a little bit uneasy about screening them out. At least we need to make sure they are annotated and able to be retrieved whenever we need them for any additional analysis. So let's keep having this conversation about, how do we integrate data from this data as well as the data before that date? Because I'm not sure.
Yes, regarding that, I'm pretty sure that will the undergrads are like leaving comments, not deleting the whole patient. Is that correct, Will?
What do you mean by delete the patients?
Like if we found a patient that is listed in so the patient is in the list, but if the patient has received IO only before like
Oh yeah,
2020 or
yeah.
other,
We're just keeping them just in case.
yeah, but we're not doing the secondary screening for now.
Yeah. Because 2020, because I think even before 2020, we were doing neoadjuvant with immunotherapy on board, maybe as a clinical trial. So we have few patients in that time frame who were probably getting immunotherapy neoadjuvant. But we don't know unless we check, so. Yeah, maybe find out that reason and just, tell me and we'll figure out what to do about the time frame. But keep doing what you're doing now. Okay, anything else?
Happy.
Okay, very good. Okay, let's go to Haesung.
Let's see, for DART, besides the things that I discussed with you, I wanted to show you the ClearCell draft. I had to edit many things, so I will share the screen. Okay, so here, the titles, the limit is 15 words, but Dr. Kurzrock specifically wanted the name of the cancer to be clear cell cancers of ovary, blah, 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 instead of like ovarian, endometrial, cervical, clear cell carcinoma, which is shorter. So I had to shorten the first part of this title. Would you mind checking this?
Yeah. Do people use clear cell cancer?
Or carcinoma.
I think carcinoma makes sense.
Okay. Right, besides that. Yeah, so we talked about this, but just wanted to confirm once again that for our primary endpoint will just be RECIST-based ORR that includes only confirmed responses. So the ORR is now 15.8, and then when we consider one unconfirmed CR and two unconfirmed PR, then it increases to 31.6%. For CBR, clinical benefit rate, which includes the two additional stable disease cases that are lasting longer than 6 months, it's 26.3%. And as we discussed, we are not including unconfirmed cases in the CBR. Is that correct?
Yes.
This is specifically for the ovarian cases. And then if we do the same for the endometrial and cervical cases, ORRs are 0% for both, but the CBRs 0% for endometrial, and then cervical is 1 out of 5.
We're at 0% for both. Maybe I don't know if you are running out of words.
Oh, I said for both.
Oh,
endometri-
okay.
Yeah. And then I mentioned the unconfirmed PR case in endometrial,
Okay, good.
as well as the immune PR case in cervical.
Okay.
And then for the overall OOR, I considered, unconfirmed so that it becomes 21.9%.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so everything else should be same. This is like 199 words, so I can't really fit anything else in. This is a request by Dr. Kurzrock. She wanted like a brief, introduction into like clear cell gynecologic cancers in general before delving into like each specific organ.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of like tried to specify the survival outcomes of the advanced cases. That's the main places I made the edits, and then oh yeah, so this the definition of PFS and OS. So looking at the protocol, it says the start date for each, like PFS and OS, is the date of study registration. It's not the start date of protocol treatment. And that's
where was that mentioned?
in the protocol.
In the protocol. Oh, okay.
Here, this is a screenshot I took for both PFS and OS. It says from the date of registration.
I see.
But if you look at the published manuscripts for PFS, it says start of treatment protocol, and then for overall survival, it says from the date of registration.
Oh, really?
So we'll have to unify from now on, at least. We'll have to say what's written as what has been mentioned in the protocol, right?
I think that is right, but
Yeah.
But let's ask Megan, like all the data she gave us, like maybe email Megan and CC me. All the data, the PFS OSS is it, we just want to confirm that both are from the date of registration because that's what's been, written in the protocol, but she might have a different idea.
Okay.
But she's the one who sort of generates the data and keep it.
Right. Yeah, that was the main point of concern.
Yeah. Because in all our retrospective studies, it's the treatment start date that we use.
Yeah.
But trials may differ a little bit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I agree with what you changed, but let's just confirm with Megan that's what actually was happening.
Yeah, before showing it to Dr. Kurzrock, you mean, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so I just had to fix many numbers, recalculate stuff. Yeah. So some things to be confirmed by Megan. Okay, yeah, that's that. And then now looking at the tables and figures. In the previous, I think it was for non-epithelial, but Dr. Kurzrock wanted like a separate column for clinical benefit rates. And so I added that for these as well.
Oh, okay.
I could also write this out or maybe like clinical benefit instead of rate, because it's just like one person.
Oh. Right. Yeah. I think it's better to write clinical benefit because it's not the rate it's kind of rate in 20%. Best response. Is it under best response? Clinical benefit. Best clinical benefit rate. Let's do clinical benefit, and you can define the clinical benefit as just take out the rate.
So like, and then it's the
Yeah, SD.
or like SD plus objective responses like that, or CRPR?
Objective
write-
responses. Oh, that's
Like that.
that's
Too long.
if since you wrote it out, it's too long. Let's just yeah, in the abbreviation, or it doesn't have to be abbreviation, but you could do, you know, asterisks and just yeah, clinical. You can leave clinical benefit, but put asterisks and then explain that not as abbreviate. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Yeah, with the clinical benefit. Yeah.
Do you still see the value in putting this clinical benefit here? Because it is under the category of best response. And I did also mention, you know, SD less than 6, greater than 6. In the paper, it clearly defines clinical benefit rate.
I think it's fine to leave it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not common, but Dr. Kurdra wants it, so.
The boss wants it, all right.
And it, you know, it's like it's not important. I just put it that
Yeah.
way.
Okay. And then I fixed all the graphs, ovarian, endometrial,
Mhm.
cervical, and oh, this should be irisist. I'll fix that. Glad I looked at it again.
Is it all irisist?
No, only
Just that one.
yeah,
Just the
cervical.
clear cell cervical. And
Right, this,
what was the, oh, because of that discrepancy, okay.
yeah, it was the immune PR.
Okay.
Yeah, let me fix that, and then everything else should be okay. This one. Yeah, irisist cervical cancer. But yeah, this figure is very huge, so that's why it looks so small.
Mm.
And then this one I fixed as well, ovarian, endometrial, cervical, and irisist cervical.
Mm.
There's no OS for this one.
Mm.
Yeah, but everything is like bolded and like very emphasized. Yeah.
Mm. Resist clear cell, yeah. So do we have to write since studies registration for all the curves? This is kind of worthy. Did you make?
Oh, actually, this also proves that, you know, PFS and OS is from study registration instead of protocol treatment. So in that sense, it could clarify things that it's not treatment, but it's from registration.
So this graph, Megan made this graph, or?
Yeah. So this kind of answers our question, right? It's from study
Yeah.
registration. Yeah.
Megan put it month in study registration there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, if Megan's the one who put it in, then that's, yeah, fine. You don't need to ask her.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just leave it this way and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was one tiny thing that I wanted Megan to clarify. It's the immune PR case in the cervical group. But besides this, I think we can show this to Dr. Kurzweil if you're okay with that, and we can CC Megan and ask this one particular question.
Yeah, why is this not clear?
I'm not sure. When I asked her, this is what I got, or either she, or maybe I deduced it from her answer, but Dr. Curtis Rock or Dr. Megan questions this, so I just want to confirm once again.
Oh, what? Lasting 24 weeks. So like a 6 month.
6 months. It was a long time ago, but I think like she mentioned how this patient progressed after 2 more scans. And maybe that's how I deduced 6 months, because scans are done usually every 3 months, but maybe that was a very rough, very dangerous assumption. But yeah, we'll have to check.
Okay, let's ask her.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll send you this, and then you can CC Megan and Dr. Kurzrock.
Okay.
And then
I mean, I think we can send this version to Dr. Kurdrak first, and then we can just confirm with Megan at the same time. You can, it's just one number, so we
okay.
don't have to hold up, sending it to Dr. Kurdrak. So once it's done, just let me just send it to me.
I can send you right away after this meeting.
Yeah.
The protocol is still a work in progress. Akiso hasn't gotten back to us.
About what?
But let me see. Oh, this is the Akiso last trial protocol.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Dr. Chen Ruohi Chen from Northwestern, the statistician, he hasn't gotten back to us, but I can send him another reminder email.
Okay.
About the hypothesis thing, the 5%, 25%, that thing. So yeah, I will contact them regarding that, and then I think I should pass this along to Liam while I'm gone, and he can continue to work on this.
The Akiso, yeah.
Yeah.
This one, yeah, we have to move forward. Okay.
Yeah, and then now I can show you the Tempus ITH data I extracted. 1 second. Yeah, so this is the these are the radiomics patients, 205 patients, and among them 59 patients had Tempus data. And then Stats was able to calculate the ITH scores, and across 3 scores, we averaged them, found the median value, and I divided them into above median versus below median. And so it's like 30 patients below median and 29 patients above median. And so this shows the PFS.
So how many patients in total?
It's 59 patients in total.
And these are all palliative treatment, non-small cell.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. And yeah, there's no significant difference between these 2 groups. 12 months, 14 months of PFS, progression-free survival. And then this shows the OS, about 37 months versus 27 months for those above median, but there was no significance as well. This shows the relationship between the ITH categories with the RECIST-based response at 24 weeks. But again, we weren't able to find any significance.
So how did you, just the chi-square? Okay.
Yeah.
So RECIST above median?
So 1 is above median and 0 is below median.
Okay. So for these, I would usually like to do just the dot plot, because you can actually see the distribution, ITH and RECIST, and then just dot it and then see if there's any Spearman coefficient number. Yeah. That would be good to have. Okay.
For iRECIST, again, no significance, but I can also try the dot plot and Spearman coefficient. These are the mixed responses. Again, nothing, regardless of the definition. But I guess I could do the same for these as well, the dot plot and then the Spearman.
So the mixed response is pretty much yes or no.
Right.
So for the yes or no, it's not the dot plot, it's usually like the box plot for, yes or no, and then you have ITH with the box and the median, the lines, right? So it's comparing mixed response, yes, no, and then like the box plot.
But the response is also yes, no, isn't it? Like there was a response versus there was no response. So this includes like CR, PR, and SD over 24 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but this is also a yes or no response,
Mm-hmm.
both of these.
So what I'm saying is responder, non-responder, or
Yeah.
resist, yes, no. You have box plot of ITH as y-axis. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not the dot, but the box.
Well, it has dots in it. You
Oh,
know,
okay. So are you referring it to the same thing?
so let me see. So something like this. You see this?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
Yeah, dot in the box plot.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go back. Pneumonitis, I tried the same thing, nothing. I also tried time to pneumonitis and also nothing.
And is this all grade pneumonitis?
This is yes, yeah.
You can do high grade pneumonitis too.
Mm.
But I guess biologically, intratumoral or intertumoral heterogeneity going up, would that necessarily correlate with immunotherapy induced pneumonitis? Maybe not. I don't see like like biological link there for now. Maybe
For
later.
high grade, you mean 3, 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So not just the median cutoff, but you could do quartile, first quartile, fourth quartile. You could do not, I guess the cutoff was what value?
It's 2.33. I tried one of them using like quartiles and tertiles, and I don't know, like the number was too small, and that also didn't come out significant, so I just didn't see much value in doing that. There's also no strong like clinical, like no rationale for doing the tertile and quartiles.
I mean, we do it all the time, looking at different to not for formal publication, but to convince ourselves that either how you cut it, there's no meaningful difference. So I know the numbers are still small, but tertile, quartile, I would still do it to make sure there's no trend. The first quartile, fourth quartile, no difference. And then there's a clinical, you said 2 point something, and you could,
0.33.
yeah, you could cut it at, first of all, we need like a distribution graph for ITH. What's the distribution? And look at that curve and figure out where would be the best cutoff based on the graph shape. If it's bimodal, right, usually it's at the center. So you need that, and then you need, it's if it's tumor mutational burden, it's either median or the clinical meaningful value is 10. But ITH, we don't have that, so I would still see, can I use 2 as a cutoff, or 3 as a cutoff? Because it makes sense to use the clonal number.
Dr. Che, can I show you this Excel sheet? I did not draw a curve that shows the ITH distribution, but even while doing the tertiles and quartiles, I found it very difficult trying to like divide them into those categories because there's many like 1s, 2s, like 2.33s.
Oh, there's a lot of,
It's
yeah,
like
correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But yeah, the big ones are on the bottom.
Huh.
Yeah, that's why I did the medians of the because otherwise it's very vague.
Yeah, I think you can still, I mean, it's a short exercise. You can do below, above 2, below, above 3, and see what happens still with this limited numbers. Yeah. And I'm just thinking ahead, this is still like 59 patients. We'll have more patients. Oh yeah, and then the other one is all of these patients, did they receive, what did they receive? Immunotherapy containing regimen or yeah, everything combined or
Yeah.
therapy?
Yeah, immunotherapy combined. And then this includes all, adenosquamous poorly differentiated. Just trying to look at the stage. Yeah, TNM stage 4, 3, 4, yeah, palliative.
So remember a few minutes ago, I said TMB is not a great marker if you get chemoimmunotherapy. Same might be true for clonality. Usually, I would say because we don't know, we can separate by, of course we need all patient graph, but we could do immunotherapy only graph and, chemoimmuno graph and see if by any cutoff is it making sense. If it's not predictive of chemoimmuno, then it's not.
So like, for example, like within IO only group, do like above median, below median, like
You can
stuff
start
like that.
with above, below, median, but
Okay.
again, quartile, tertile is, you can look at them.
I could, it's just that I just don't know how to cut them. Like, I'll have to cut them something like that. Like, like even though it's the same twos, one will fit into the first quartile, second quartile. Like, it's very you know what I mean? And then tertile will be something like this. The same two will be in the first quartile, tertile. These 3 will be in the second tertile.
Yeah, I understand, but
Yeah.
still, just see what it shows. Even with that, yeah. And also with high clonal number, you know, you could look at these data and see, you know, what are the correlations clinically do I see? High ITH and I guess PDL1, no real association, but any other you can try to see.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything
Alright.
else?
No, that's all I have for now.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I do have one more thing. The JCOPO paper, it's the early stage, adenal versus squamous, low TMB, dividing by ITH, like stratifying by ITH scores. That paper, was submitted on October 21st to JCOPO, but it's been under review since then. So do you think we should just keep on waiting, or? We
Under-
did try sending them an email at first, but they didn't respond, so we just proceeded with submission. So it's been hard reaching
But the
them.
reviewer is assigned, right?
I'm assuming so because it says under review.
Okay. Okay, and this is what paper you said?
The early stage low TMB adenal versus squamous cell
Okay.
carcinomas with differing ITH scores.
Yeah. All right, keep sending email. We want to hear back. Are you, you know, is it moving forward or yeah. I mean, if it's a valid email, they should be able to reply back.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Problem. Before it gets to Liam for any update, and then you could sit down with me and do it, Liam. But for anyone, so I know, so Dr. Chaha, what is the fellowship interview process like? Did you do a few interviews already? And how many do you have upcoming?
No, I haven't done any interview so far, and my first interview will start on next Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday? Okay. Okay, so I think I think I think we have enough time. Maybe Saturday morning. We can do because we as in Che Lab, along with other mentors, been doing mock interview sessions to help our lab members be prepared for interview. We did it and we opened the session to everyone who is connected to us through the Grapevine Ministry. So obviously there are also people who never came to our lab but are still connected. So they're also invited. But if they don't know us, then you do need our permission, me or Dr. Liam or Dr. Hesong. But we'd like to invite all of our current lab members or previous members to participate. And you don't have to be applying for this session. If you're applying, you should you should participate because you're gonna benefit from. It will be myself and many other faculty members within GVM who'll be able to give some feedback or comments. We'll do just as we are interviewing our own residents and fellows. And we record it, and I know in previous years people watched that recording. It was one of the best viewed file under our GVM. So I feel like because your interview is coming, I know Dr. Iser's interview is coming, and then people who are preparing for residency, they're trying to prep for interview process as well. And for people who are not applying this year, you know, you can practice this year too. It doesn't matter. Eileen, how does the medical school do any medical school require in-person or Zoom interview?
I'm
you
not exactly sure, but I know with like COVID, schools started doing online interviews, but I feel like they're up and starting like back to like in person. But I don't know for sure, but I can research that and let you know.
So I'm just saying, if you want to practice, you can also participate. Doesn't matter whether you're medical school, applying for medical school, residency, or fellowship, or even faculty position for that matter. I mean, I do it all the time. So you guys can do your mock interview. Does not matter, and everyone gets to do maybe, I don't know how many minutes we did. Like, I think we made maybe 10 minutes for each people, and then we give comments. So I think it was like something like 1.5 hour session. It kind of depends on how many people are participating. So I think because Dr. Jaha has interview upcoming next week, I think it's great if we can do it this week. I don't want to take out our routine time, so it will have to be early in the morning. So 6, 4, 8, 7. We can do something early Saturday morning, and I will confirm the time with you. But anyone, I guess Dr. Hesong, Liam, and Dr. Chaha, 3 of you guys are applying. Dr. Saley is not applying this year, right? Okay, but you are more than welcome to participate. You can practice as if you're applying. That's what Dr. Eugene O did. So anyone can't do Friday morning here from here? No? Okay. Okay, then I will plan for it and then let you guys know. It will be all through Zoom, so you guys can. But you could practice, and we're gonna comment on the lighting, your professional attire, and how your face, you know, how you're smiling and where you are looking at. We're gonna comment on everything. Okay, so be prepared. Read, look, and do your best presentation. And it will be sometimes harsh, but I think whatever comment you get, it will be all for your benefit. Okay, because and yeah, I even have a score. Like how do you score interview? Like how do you select the best interviewees? The Northwestern, we have the checklist. And I can talk about all of those with you because we want to help you succeed. And at any stage, interview is important. And then the one common question is tell me about the research that you're involved in. And you have to show your passion and what exactly you've been doing recently. Because all of the faculty members, most of them will be interested because that will be in your CV, whatever you've done. Or it doesn't have to be, it could be something, and then it has to convey your enthusiasm. So work on that. I think it will be helpful. And some years, people liked it so much, we did it 2 times even. And I believe the mock interview sessions from previous years are all in our GVM website, the YouTube channel. So I know it's been a while. Nothing is public, but we do have link. So maybe at least past 2 years, Dr. Liam, could you share that with the GVM community, that for those who are applying, so maybe you can for those who are applying for fellowship or who will eventually be applying for either medical school, residency, or fellowship, these are their useful resources from previous years GVM mock interview sessions. You can put the link in, and if you watch it, you're gonna be able to listen to all our previous comments. But it will be also, and then say, Saturday morning we'll have the mock interview session, likely have mock interview session, and the link will be same as our testimony link. And then the time will be announced later. So Dr. Liam, I'll just have you put that notice in the chat room.
Okay, so do you want it to be Saturday morning or Friday morning?
Saturday morning.
Okay.
We don't have time in Friday morning. And oh yeah, and anyone who's willing to participate as an interviewee, please message Liam so that you kind of have a ballpark idea of how long it's going to be, because it depends on how many people, and it will help us to kind of give them time slots in advance. Let's do that. And yeah, Liam, for other projects, I'll just sit down with you today. And it looks like Brooke wants to meet us today.
Yes, I was going to ask you to, but she was asking about 4 p.m.
Why don't we have Brooke just come into my office then? Do I have anything at 4 p.m.?
Or it seems like you have to pick up.
Oh no, that's not me.
Oh, that's not you.
Wait, is that me? I'll have to figure out. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Is that me or not me? Okay, we'll wrap up here. And yeah, but I'm here all day. So if you have any